Welcome to this ASNA webcast. My name is Roger Pence, and I'll be presenting ASNA Mobile RPG in this webcast. This presentation shows you how you can create superb mobile applications with ASNA Mobile RPG. You have a mobile-savvy programming team ready to create the next generation of mobile applications for your business. You just don't know it yet. That team is your current RPG team. Very briefly, let's just talk about who ASNA is. Many of you may know, but let's just cover it very quickly. ASNA is one of the most long-standing, respected vendors in the IBM mid-range community. We've been in business since 1982, providing IBM mid-range shops with solutions to their programming challenges. We have a worldwide presence with customers in more than 25 countries. Our headquarters are in Barcelona, Spain, and San Antonio, Texas. We are business partners with both IBM and Microsoft. We are an IBM Tools Network partner and a Microsoft Certified Gold partner. We've worked closely with both IBM and Microsoft. We worked with IBM with the Open Access API and most recently with Microsoft, integrating our products with Microsoft Visual Studio 2012. Let's take a quick look at the ASNA product stack. A couple of these things sort of relate directly to Mobile RPG. The new kid on the block is Mobile RPG. Mobile RPG enables your RPG team to create great mobile applications targeting smartphones and tablets with plain old ILE RPG. Mobile RPG provides a Windows-based mobile UI designer to create the mobile displays the RPG program uses. We'll be going through this PowerPoint today for 15 or 20 minutes or so, and then we'll take a look at Mobile RPG in action. Next up in the product stack is ASNA Wings. This is our RPG UI modernizer. It lets you provide an alternative browser-based rendering of your existing traditional display files. This browser-based UI is created directly from your traditional display DDS source. Once created, these alternative displays can be functionally and cosmetically enhanced to make the application much more powerful. ASNA Monarch is our application migration platform. It rehosts RPG applications, including the CL, display files, and print files, to .NET. Monarch targets either ASNA Visual RPG or Microsoft C#. Next up is ASNA Visual RPG. This is the only RPG compiler available for .NET. It creates 100% verifiable Microsoft Intermediate Language binary output. AVR lets you create all kinds of applications, including browser-based apps, SOAP and RESTful web services, Windows services, and FAT clients. Next we have ASNA Datagate. Datagate is ASNA's secret sauce. It is pervasive throughout all of our products. It provides database access for ASNA Visual RPG and Monarch. It allows connectivity to either the IBM I or Microsoft SQL Server. For Wings and Mobile RPG, ASNA Datagate provides the transport layer for display file data between RPG programs and their alternative user interfaces. Now, let's move a little more into the mobile challenge, the mobile revolution. We live in a mobile world. We all take our pocket computers for granted. We use our smartphones for everything: pictures, directions, reference, text messages, and social media, appointments, alarm clocks. Every once in a while, we even use them to make an old-fashioned telephone call. In 2011, for the first time ever, smartphones outsold PCs, and that trend is generally considered irreversible. While PCs will certainly be with us for a long time, from here on out, they take a backseat to smart mobile devices. Consider this. Smartphones are so popular that Apple sold more iPhones in 4 years than it sold Macs in 28 years. The numbers get more astounding. Android has had 1 million activations through 2011 and will have more than 400 million through 2012. Analysts predict that by 2014, there will be more than 1 billion, that's 1 billion Android devices in use. Mobile is clearly hot with consumers. I call it the Angry Birds effect, but those mad birds that help make smartphones so popular are now flocking to the enterprise. Up until recently, this mobile revolution has been driven mostly by consumers, but we are rapidly seeing mobile computing becoming very important to the enterprise. Over the last 18 months or so, we have spoken to many customers about their mobile needs. It has been quite interesting to watch the evolution of the perception of mobile in the IBMI community. 18 months ago, our customers mostly knew they needed mobile, but they couldn't concretely identify why they needed mobile. Today, when we talk to them, most are able to quickly provide concrete reasons and real-world examples of why and where they need mobile computing. Virtually everyone we've talked to is interested in some form of mobile. There are certainly some for which the need is more compelling than others, but everyone is interested. Mobile needs are driven from the top down. Your decision makers inherently understand the value of mobile. They understand the powerful workflow and business model changes that are possible with a mobile-connected enterprise. This brings us to Mobile RPG. It's with this backdrop for establishing the need for mobile that we created ASNA Mobile RPG. We call it MR. Mobile RPG enables the creation of new mobile apps for the IBM I using 100% plain old ILE RPG written by your existing RPG programming team. These applications specifically target smartphones and tablets with a user interface and capabilities that are highly tuned for mobile computing needs. Note that while MR does target smartphones and tablets, we think most of the work with MR, at least initially, will target the form factor of the smartphone. During this presentation, I won't mention tablets much, but do understand that MR isn't specifically for smartphones. It's also for 7 and 10-inch tablets and the rapidly evolving and cutesy named phablet category of mobile devices that fit somewhere between today's smartphone and the 7-inch tablets like the Galaxy Note 2 or the mini iPad. MR provides RPG programmers with a drag-and-drop environment with which to create the mobile UI. During RPG development, the mobile UI is presented to the ILE RPG programmer as a traditional display file object. More on that in a little bit. Mobile RPG empowers your RPG team to use its existing RPG skills to create great mobile applications. Who better to create mobile apps for you? This RPG team that has been with you for so long intrinsically understands your business data flows and workflows, and the problems your business solves for its customers. Until Mobile RPG came along, creating mobile applications required special case skills with lots of technologies and tools. Mobile RPG changes all that. All you need to create great mobile applications now is Mobile RPG and ILE RPG. There is no need to spend months learning obscure, frustrating technologies such as Objective-C, Java, PHP, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Nor is there a need to learn special case API programming for ILE RPG. Your RPG programmers just need to sit down with Mobile RPG and their RPG knowledge and get productive. Let's consider the two types of mobile computing that an IBM I business may need. Through our discussions with many IBM I customers, we've determined that there are generally two types of mobile computing solutions needed. Some shops may need both, some one or the other. The first challenge is for a portable workstation for existing IBM I applications. Technically, I suppose, it's debatable that this is mobile computing in the Android has 1 billion activation sense. But it is surely mobile in the sense that this need is resolved with modern mobile devices, in this case, specifically tablets. This is the need for mobile users to have quick access to existing IBM I applications on a tablet. Users such as professional medical people, doctors or nurses in a hospital, for example, or managers on an assembly line, or realtors out in the field. The need is for these users to have painless, quick access to existing IBM I applications. They don't want to run down the hall to a workstation. They don't want to fire up a laptop. They don't want to make somebody move from their desk. They just want access to important information quickly and painlessly. Existing applications don't work very well on smartphone mobile devices. The form factor of the 24 by 80 or 27 by 132 display simply doesn't render well on a 320 pixel wide smartphone. And generally, these applications don't really require mobile enablement. Users don't need to use them to send text or show Google Maps. They just need convenient access to the back office applications that they have used for years. This is a challenge that ASNA Wings solves gracefully. But we aren't here to talk about Wings today. If you want to learn more about Wings, please visit asna.com/wings. You can learn about how Wings can very gracefully display your existing applications in a touch-enabled tablet. The second challenge, and the one that Mobile RPG addresses, is for new applications that solve very specific business issues for use with smartphones, but in some cases also with tablets. These applications are targeted very specifically at mobile devices and probably need to exploit mobile features such as images, geolocation, phone, and text messaging. Mobile RPG is aimed at that second challenge, requiring new applications. These apps are designed from the ground up to be used with mobile devices and solve new kinds of mobile challenges for the business. Generally, these applications are very focused and are comparatively simple applications. They don't require near the complexity your monolithic back-office applications require. The workflow is simple, the data is simple, and the UI, while tailored specifically for mobile, is also simple if you're using ASNA Mobile RPG. Let's take a minute to consider an application like this. Here's an early mock-up of a mobile application that we call Carolina. As we considered resolving mobile application challenges, we realized that a typical transaction-based data entry application with our typical example data wouldn't truly exercise a mobile application. So we made up an example use case and created data and an application for it. Our fictional use case is for an automobile transport company. This company is in the business of transporting vehicles from point A to point B. Many times these vehicles are those purchased at regional wholesale used car auctions. Once purchased, these vehicles need to be transported to the appropriate retail dealer locations. The Carolina application requirements included being able to locate cars that need to be transported, being able to see details about any one vehicle, being able to telephone the current owner, to be able to map the route to the vehicle from wherever you currently are, to see pictures of the existing vehicle, and to, upon vehicle pickup, be able to take additional pictures with the smartphone's camera to record the vehicle's condition in order to be able to prove existing damage prior to you transporting that vehicle. And then finally, to be able to see a dashboard of revenue and other business data statistics. Let's take a look at Carolina Live. This is a live, publicly available application that I'm going to show you using a Windows-based iPhone simulator. At the end of this presentation, Carolina's URL will be provided so that you can see it live on your smartphone. Here we see the Carolina ASNA Mobile RPG application being displayed in a smartphone simulator. This one is from Electric Plum. It's about a $40 little simulator. It does a pretty good job. Remember that the Carolina application is for automobile transporters. That's where Carolina comes from, for a car line. So here we see it in the emulator. First thing we can do is click the little chart there to see a current graph of available vehicles by body and size. And then the chart control in Mobile RPG has some drill down capabilities. So if we want to see the larger sizes, we just click in there, and there's the larger size vehicles. These are vehicles available for pickup. So we can get some details on one of them. Now I can't do it in this simulator, but if we were to click that 2006 Ford F-150 link, that would open up the browser on the smartphone. We can scroll down and we can see that we have a little telephone icon. You could tap that, and that would invoke the native telephone function on the smartphone. We can see here that using the geo encoding, the application knows what my current location is, and it knows where the car is, so it mapped a route for us to go pick the car up. And then there are photos of the vehicles now, of the vehicle. These images are located on the IFS of the IBM I and are passed through DataGate up to the mobile application. We also have the ability to come down to here and take additional pictures, perhaps pick them up off the camera roll on the phone and upload them to the application. So if you are a car transporter, you might want to record some existing damage on a vehicle before you pick it up. We can also get to that detail in a different way. We can go into it from by job ID. This is exactly the same detail. You hear me using my keyboard with this simulator, but if you were using your smartphone, you'd be using your fingertips. It's all smart. It's finger enabled. And remember too that we'll be providing the URL for this, and you can look at it yourself on your own smartphone. Same detail as before. And then finally, it also includes a manager's dashboard. So here we can see some charts, a bar chart of historical revenues, and then the 10 largest states where there are cars to be picked up. This chart data renders itself as a chart in the mobile UI, and I'll show you here in a moment with some more PowerPoints. You'll see that the chart data, the RPG program needs an abstraction with which to write data to the chart, so we use a subfile for that. So when we export a subfile, when we export a mobile RPG UI to a display file on the IBM I, and it has a chart control, for example, that chart control is seen by the RPG program as a subfile. So we just write a handful of rows to that subfile, and then at runtime, that subfile data is redirected to the chart control. It's very clever. Let's click back. And having sort of laid the groundwork then for mobile RPG, in this next little chunk of video, I'm going to show you how to write a calculator with mobile RPG. And with that background of ASNA Mobile RPG, let's now take a look at mobile RPG in action. What we're going to do is write a quick little application with mobile RPG and be a very simple single function calculator. It'd be very simple, but it will show the workflow with ASNA Mobile RPG. So here's Visual Studio 2012. I'm going to come up here and say File, New, Website. Up here we see the template for ASNA Mobile RPG, and you'll notice that there are currently two languages installed on this particular PC, VB and C#. If this machine had ASNA Visual RPG installed on it, this one doesn't, that would also list there, and the language that we use there is really rather insignificant with mobile RPG because we don't write any server-side code. There won't be any code written, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to name this project, and I've selected Visual C# as the mobile RPG. Now click OK. And then Visual Studio pops up this dialog that's provided by mobile RPG. And this wants me to establish my credentials for a design time login into the IBM I. So here it says the library for the mobile RPG files. I've established that as RPCalc. And then we've got the login credentials here, server, user, password, and then the TCP/IP port over which DataGate is communicating. Now do notice, here's a 5250 emulator. Do notice that I don't currently have an RPCalc library on that Cypress machine. Now we'll go ahead and click OK. Now this is going to take a few seconds. And here, Mobile RPG is building the skeleton application for us. So in this case, what it built is it put in a display file for us, a mobile display file. Now if we look at the Solution Explorer is effectively the steering wheel of Visual Studio. The Solution Explorer shows us a rather standard ASP.NET website. Now we can come down here to Mobile Display Files. That's where it's going to put the display files, and we can see that it does have that one stubbed in. Now if I come back to my IBM I, do notice that now there is an RPCalc. And in fact, take a look at what's in RPCalc, the objects that are in RPCalc. There is a Hello RPG program, a Hello RPG display file, and a source physical file, ILE RPG. Let me show you that source physical file in RPCalc. There's the source physical file that it created. And there's the ILE RPG program that Mobile RPG stuck out there sort of to bootstrap us up. Notice that here we've got the workstation handler specified for the Mobile RPG open access handler. And then otherwise, it's a pretty simple little RPG program. It does an execute format, and then it returns with LR on when function key F3 is pressed. And then using the cycle, it just keeps looping around. Now let's run it. Now I'm using the Electric Plum iPhone and iPad simulator. It's about a $40 product at electricplum.com. It does a great job in cases like this where I can't otherwise show you the application running on a mobile device. I just logged in. And then there the application came up. Just a little simple hello world. Let's go ahead and end it. Close the emulator, turn off Visual Studio. And now we'll add a few things. Let's make this a calculator. I'll give myself some white space here. I'll come over here and say View. Let's turn off this Solution Explorer. We need the screen real estate. View Toolbox. And here are the mobile controls. So we can see we have things like a bar. That's this red bar across here. Buttons, character fields. There's the graph chart. Date field, we've got decimal date field, decimal field. We've got the geolocation control. We've got the Google Map control. We've got an image control. Host file, this would be for sending and receiving files such as images and PDFs between the mobile application and the IBM I. And then this one here is a very popular one, DDS list. I'll show you that one in action with a different app here in just a little bit. It's sort of a special case subfile for mobile applications. But in this case, what we want to do is we want to put DDS decimal field right there. Now let's go get another one. Go get one more. Don't have to drag it. You can just double click it. Let's put a DDS care field there. And then let's put a button. All right, now let's get rid of Hello World there. And then let's come up to here and make that say calculator. Now, I've put these controls on here. I'm going to go ahead and shut the toolbox for now. Now, to work with any of these controls, you select them and press F4, and that shows the properties of the controls. Properties are fields that further define those controls. So let's go ahead and say 0 decimals. 15 long is okay with me. And then let's give it an edit code of K. Now let's also then give it up here at the alias. Notice that it has an alias field. That's the RPG field. That's the field that will be surfaced in the display file that we export and is then made available to the RPG program. Very important property, obviously. Otherwise, we couldn't talk to this with our RPG program. And then edit code 3 again. Edit code K again. Okay, so I've done that. Now I'm going to put my result field here, so I'm going to call that result. Now, I don't think I need to make any changes to it otherwise. It's a result field. It's a DDS care, and it's, let's make it 15 long. 15 long. And then finally the button. Now, not finally, one more thing besides the button. Let's give the button some text. Let's say the text should say, show some. Notice I'm not writing any code on this side of things at all. Now the aid key, this is the function key that I want pressed virtually when a user taps that button. So I'm going to say F10. Now I got one more thing to do here. I'm going to go back to those properties. And I want to go to the record format itself. which is right here. And I need to come down here to function keys, and I need to tell it that it's okay to use the F10 key. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to map the F10 key to the number 10 indicator. So now I've added the two input fields. I've added the result field that I'm going to show. Notice that its usage is both. It could just be set to output, I guess, but it's all right. All right, now let's go to the Solution Explorer. View, Solution Explorer. Let's take that display file and let's right-click it, and I'm going to say Export to Display File. So what this is going to do is go back to the IBM I and refresh that display file object that's there. Let's not, so we don't need to say the DDS source. Now remember that this display file that it's creating on the IBM I is only for compile purposes for the ILE RPG program. So now we should have that display file out there. So now we're never going to see it. We're just going to compile the RPG program against it. Now let's add the RP Calc library to the library list, and let's make a small change to this program right here. And I'm going to make a very small change. Let's make that bigger. I'll make a very small change. I'm going to come down to here, and I'm simply going to say eval result equals the result equals the character value of value 1 plus value 2. That's all I'm going to do. Now I'll press F3, save it, compile it, compiled OK. Now let's drag this back out of the way, and let's run our program again. Let's run our mobile application. Now we'll come over to here and say, we'll say 45 and 10. And the sum of 45 and 10 is 55. So what we just saw is the workflow that it takes to create a mobile application with ASNA Mobile RPG. You can see that it's incredibly simple. I didn't write any code in Visual Studio. I used Visual Studio purely as the designer. And then I wrote the ILE RPG program to work against that display file that we exported to the IBM I. Those demos with Mobile RPG show you a little bit of how it works, what the experience is like in Visual Studio. Let's take just a few moments to take a little more in-depth technical look at some of what we just saw happening. So the Mobile RPG display file provides a way for RPG programmers to create mobile UIs with Visual Studio. We call these mobile display files, but then they're exported to the IBM I as a traditional display file against which we compile the RPG programs. Now at runtime, that display file data stream is going to be rerouted from actually going to the original traditional display file and be rerouted out to the mobile RPG display file. This happens through IBM's Open Access API. Open Access is an API that IBM put out there a couple years ago that provides a very low-level interception of file I/O in an ILE RPG program. It adds the handler keyword to the workstation file declaration. So the only unusual thing that we need to do in an ILE RPG program for ASNA Mobile RPG is to add this handler keyword to the workstation declaration. We don't inject any other API sets or unusual coding techniques. You can use all the standard coding techniques and idioms that you're familiar with. You can use embedded SQL. You can use RPG free. It's just an RPG application. Open Access works with V6 R1 and higher, and Open Access is now a no-charge product worldwide. Been a little bit of confusion about that from some locations around the world with IBM. It is a no-charge product. Now let's take a look at how the mobile display file gets used. We see here that we've got the mobile display file on the left. That's the collection of ASP.NET controls. We saw some of those. The text box, the DDS char field, the DDS decimal field, the button. We took a very quick look at the DDS chart, things like that. After we create that mobile UI, we export it to a traditional display file on the IBM I. And then at compile time, we create ILE RPG source. We write the source that works against that traditional display file. So for example, remember that the chart control gets exported and gets surfaced to the RPG program as a traditional subfile. So the RPG program thinks it's writing 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 rows of data to a well, it is writing 3 or 4, 5, 6 rows of data to a subfile, but at runtime that data is not going to be used to populate a traditional subfile. It's going to be used to populate that chart. We compile that, and then at runtime, when that RPG program runs, it thinks that that display file data stream is going to be sent out to the traditional display file, but it's not. It's sent out through the Open Access API and onto the ASNA Mobile RPG Open Access Handler, and then rendered on out to the modern Mobile RPG mobile UI. So here's another way to think of it. Here we've got the runtime of a traditional RPG application, where the RPG program emits display file data to the workstation controller. That gets merged with the display file object itself, and that then renders on your 5250 emulators. But in the case of mobile RPG, that display file I/O is rerouted through the Open Access API and the ASNA Mobile RPG Handler out to the mobile UI. The architecture then, at runtime, we have an IBM I application server on the right. That's the blue server. It's connected via TCP/IP on the same network to a Windows web server. And our mobile RPG presentation layer is an ASP.NET application. So we can see here that on the IBM I side of things, you've got this RPG program talking through the Open Access API and the Mobile RPG Handler over to the server-side part of the handler and the mobile UI as expressed with an ASPX page. Now here's the composition of a mobile display file, where display files are made up of a set of record formats, just like a traditional display file. And any one record format will contain a variety of different controls. It may contain DDS char fields, decimal fields, charts, lists, graphs, maps, buttons, input fields, all those kinds of things. The controls then are used to define the mobile UI in the mobile display files. The RPG program then manipulates those elements via traditional RPG and display file idioms, workstation files, records, fields, indicators. You can even use the feedback area, the INFS feedback area for example, determining which function keys got pressed. And the UI controls then are fields, records, constants, and other elements. Now in the mobile RPG controls, there's sort of 2 categories of controls. The first of which are those that are analogous to the traditional display file rendering. That is, a text box maps easily to an input field. There's not much of a translation there to do. Character fields, numeric fields, normal record format subfile controllers and subfiles. But we also have then another kind of control that doesn't have a one-to-one rendering in a traditional green screen display file. So over here on these kinds of controls, there are containers and controllers, navigation bars, buttons, panels. And then there's some advanced ones, the link, the map, the image, the chart, the host file. All of these are translated to some sort of a rendering inside the traditional display file when we export it. The cleverest of which I think are the map, the chart, and the list panel all get translated to, as I said before, a subfile. So the RPG program thinks it's writing to a subfile. a variable number of rows. That variable number of rows then at runtime gets rendered in its appropriate target control. Here's an example where we see the DDSG map control, and we can see it's got 4 points to map on it. Each of those 4 points is represented by a field written to a subfile. And then the map control knows to get that map data out of that subfile and render it as a map at runtime. There's some of the other properties that define some of those things. The DDS chart is fed with a subfile too. So for example, if we're going to put a horizontal bar chart out that looks like that on the right, it would, in your RPG program, be surfaced as a subfile with 4 field columns. And then that's the relationship then shown between the data in that chart and the data in the subfile. The chart type is irrelevant to RPG. The RPG program, in any case, is writing directly to a subfile, but at runtime, we're going to direct that to the various charts, and they'll have their own display personalities. That's pretty much the overall technical overview of ASNA Mobile RPG. I'm going to be in New York City on May the 14th and Atlanta on May the 16th. We'll be in both cities discussing the full complement of ASNA Mobile solutions. So if you're watching this video before the 14th or 16th of May, please visit us in those cities if you're close. We'd love to have you there. You can learn more about these workshops at asna.com/us/events/workshop. We'll answer all your questions. Somebody will win a Google Nexus tablet. So we're very excited and we're very proud of Mobile RPG. You can go farther with Mobile RPG. Mobile RPG apps are 100% ILE RPG. There's no need for your RPG team to spend months or years learning Java, Objective-C, PHP, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, any of that other mobile alphabet soup. They just need to use their existing RPG skills. Mobile RPG gets you results very quickly. In the time it would take you to fully explain your mobile needs to an expensive mobile consultant, your RPG team will be ready with a deliverable. Mobile RPG lets you take advantage of mobile devices. It lets you integrate your applications with mobile device technologies such as text messaging, geolocation, the camera, the phone itself to create great mobile devices, the local browser. And Mobile RPG pushes your business into the future. Mobile applications are rapidly moving from a luxury to a necessity. With Mobile RPG, you can keep your business competitive, adopt powerful new business workflows, and put answers in the hands of your mobile workforce. So thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you watching this video. For further information, you can contact us at contactsales@asna.com. You can learn more about Mobile RPG at asna.com/mobilerpg. You can see the Carolina app in action with your smartphone at demo.asna.com/Carolina. And you can learn more about Wings at asna.com/wings. Thank you very much for your time.